Hello, and welcome to IEDU Day 3 Speaking TOEIC. Today we will be talking about Part 2 of the Speaking TOEIC, which is describing pictures. Before we get started on that, I do want to go through some things that would refer to making it easier to speak. Basically, native speakers are lazy with their language. In Korean, for instance, han, la is too hard to say, so the N disappears and it makes the sound like hala, which is assimilation. English has many of these, and it adds sounds, or can delete sounds, or combine sounds, and this is called adjustment to speech, and it's to make it easier to say it. You might not be understood if you don't use these adjustments to speech. Some of the adjustments to speech that you will be facing could include some reductions to make it easier. We talked about function words being reduced down into things like wadia and things wacha last week, or last PowerPoint. Some of the other ones that we'll be facing are difficult combinations. These could include reasons to link words together, assimilation, which means the sounds change, deletion, which means some sounds are taken out, and epenthesis, which means a sound is added. So linking. First of all, with linking, you're adding a sound or to link two difficult sounds together. For instance, between a tense vowel or diphthong and another vowel. For example, B, E is difficult to say, so any vowel after that is going to have a y in the middle. So it's actually be able. Be able. There is a y sound there. The other tense vowel is oo, like blue. So when you say blue followed by another vowel, say ink for instance, it sounds like there's a W there. The W sound, wa, starts off in a very similar way to oo and then relaxes towards the middle of the mouth. Wa. So that is a natural form of a link between oo and the next vowel sound. So, for instance, it would sound like blue wink, not blue ink. You can't say blue ink without a complete stop in the middle. Some other linking are words that end with a single consonant, and then the next one starts with a vowel. Intervolcalic between the syllables. For instance, dog and then ear. It actually is like there's an extra G there, and the gap disappears. So dog, ear. We don't like to start with vowels, so it jumps over. Dog gear. So look at that, dog ear. Okay? Or words that end with a consonant cluster, and then the next starts with a vowel. Also do this. So the last consonant jumps over. Left arm. The T's going to jump over to arm, and it's going to sound like left arm. And the gap gets very, very short to being taken out. Another example of linking is when a word ends with the same consonant as the next word. Only say the consonant once, the space disappears. For instance, stop plus pushing. It's going to sound like stop pushing. The P may be held a little bit longer, but there isn't a gap between the two words. You don't say p in the middle of the words. Deletion is the next one that we use to solve difficult combinations. For instance, you delete the T and NT when it's between two vowels, like winter can turn into winner. Deleted T or D in the middle of a cluster is even a cross-word break. So kindness, n, sounds more like kindness. So don't know, dunno. So as you can see, the T's and D's tend to disappear out of the language quite a bit, and that's how we end up with things like I don't know sounding like I don't know. Now, about describing a picture, some tips and pointers on it. First of all, there is more things being graded on the speaking TOEIC for describing a picture. Pronunciation is described, is a grading point, as is intonation and stress. This is the same as part 1. Because you'll be speaking, you'll be using letters, you'll be trying to link them together, and that's why they're still being graded. But there's more to it when you're describing a picture. When you were reading a passage, the words were already there, so any grammar or vocabulary problems would actually be the person writing the passage's problem, not yours. So they add these as grading points for part 2. So grammar, vocabulary, and cohesion is how well everything holds together and is organized in your speaking. When you think about part 2, you have 30 seconds to prepare, and then there are 45 seconds to talk about the picture. First of all, start with general and move to specific. So say the main idea of the picture. What is happening overall in the picture? Then go through specific details. And there is an order for that too, which I'll go through. Try to mix in descriptive adjectives and other ways to describe things. If we look at this picture, you've got 30 seconds to think. What do you think this picture is about? Well, if you look at it carefully, you'll see that it is taking place inside of what looks like a traditional market. It looks like a traditional market because it's unfinished, and it looks like there's many different vendors, and it's kind of spread out. Kind of like the Sijang here in Korea, where you walk down the street and you see the vendors on either side of the street. This is what this looks like in the picture. So, your first sentence should probably be that, because that's the general idea. There are many people shopping in a traditional food market. This picture takes place next to a fruit stand. Then you would want to try to find the main idea to discuss. What is the main idea? Personally, I think the main idea is the man and the older woman who seem to be bargaining for things. Because you can see some of the woman's face. That would be why I would say that. Really, the main idea is going to be why the photographer took the picture. So why did they take this picture? I would say it's because of that woman holding something in her hands and the man facing her. Then, after you've described those two and their relationship, then you would describe the woman who has the white purse on her back, and who's got a child and maybe a teenager standing behind her. They look like maybe they're a family of some sort. So, I would start off describing main focus, which is there is an older woman who has short black hair and is wearing glasses. She is wearing baggy pants and a baggy top, who looks like she is either asking the price or trying to buy some form of fruit that she is holding up to show to a man. The man she is talking to is probably the shop owner, because he would be the person who would be able to answer how much something is, which is what I'm reading from the woman's body language. He has kind of long hair that goes over his ears, and he is fairly tall. He is wearing a t-shirt and knee-length shorts, black shoes, and white socks. I'm guessing that he is probably either the owner of the fruit stand or a worker there. To the right of the man, there is a woman who is carrying a white shoulder bag over her shoulder, who has medium-length hair that looks like it might be a little bit curly. She's wearing a short-sleeved shirt and knee-length shorts also, along with sandals. It looks like she is looking at the food in the stall. Behind her, there is a child. I say this person is a child because they are much shorter than everyone else in the picture. I am guessing that he might be the woman's son, because it looks like he is connected to her in some way, the way he's reaching out with his hand. Either that or he is a shoplifter about to steal her purse. Behind him, there is a very tall person who is wearing a t-shirt and what look to be sweatpants. By this point, you will have talked too much, so you will have been cut off. It is better to have too much and be cut off by the sound effect than to not have enough, though. If you have time, then you describe the fruit stand around, the bananas hanging, the fruit on the sides, and the scales, and then you go to the bricks and the lights. So there are plenty of things in this picture to describe, even if it is kind of hard to determine why the photographer took the picture. So, start with the main focus, 20 to 25 seconds. After you give the main idea, main focus, second focus, about 15 seconds. Finally, the background will be 5 to 10 seconds or whatever is left. If you do not get to the background, that's fine. But you want your description to be clear enough that someone who cannot see the picture can visualize what is happening in the picture. So that's the purpose of this. All right, looking at this picture, you'll see a man and a girl, and they're on segways. So probably you're going to say a father and daughter are out riding segways or two-wheeled motorized contraptions, whatever you want to call them. Then, what are you going to describe next? So what is the main focus? Why was this picture taken? Probably the picture was taken because of the young girl. The older man probably doesn't need his picture taken as much. So, with that being said, this is probably a young girl, and so you would spend some time describing her. So, family is riding segways. They are called segways, or two-wheeled motorized machines with handles through a park would be the main idea. Then describe the young girl. The daughter of the family is a young girl. She is wearing a security helmet, which is crooked on her head. I don't know how her father didn't catch that. She also is wearing arm pads and knee pads in case she crashes. She's wearing a blue t-shirt and white and blue shorts. She looks like she is having fun because she has a smile on her face and her eyes are paying attention to the path which turns to the right. Okay, that's the main focus description. Secondary focus, the man. Behind her, there is a man who is probably her father. He is wearing a blue shirt and knee-length shorts. He has medium-length men's hair, and he is slightly heavy. He is also riding a Segway. His focus seems to be on his daughter, who is in front of him. Possibly he is trying to follow her to make sure she is riding her Segway safely. Then move to the background. Well, the background's the park. The park is a very large grassy field. There looks to be a fountain and a bridge in the background, and the path they're riding the Segways on looks to be sand-covered in between two large grassy areas. That would be a good description of this picture. Take a look at this. Main focus. Main idea, there's people in a sheep petting zoo. Main idea, well, it depends. What is the main focus? Is the main focus the three men, or is the main focus the three sheep? If you ask my daughter, she would say it's the three sheep. So take one of them is the main focus, one of them is the secondary focus. Describe them first, and then describe the other one. So the main focus, maybe it's the three men. Describe their clothing. What are they looking at? What do you think they're doing? This is all part of their description. So they all have little baskets with grass in it. So they're feeding the sheep. That would give you a good lead-in to move to your second focus. There are three sheep who are standing at the fence next to these men. Two of the sheep have their heads stuck through the railings, and the other one is trying to reach over the top, possibly trying to get into the closest man's basket of food. Background would be a farm. Maybe you can mention the tables, the trees. Maybe you mention how foggy it appears to be. And then you have done a good description of that picture. Okay, another one, main focus, main idea. There are some people getting ready to go, and in this case it happens to be paragliding off of the top of a mountain. Now, if you can't tell it's paragliding, they're preparing something that has lots of strings going out the back. The main idea is probably the girl and the man. Describe them. They're wearing helmets. He's got glasses. They're both wearing jumpsuits. She's sitting in an attachment which is attached to the man's suit, and it looks like he is getting the strings ready for something, even if you don't know that it's paragliding. Those are parachute cords going to a parachute, but even if you don't know that. She looks a little bit nervous. Jumping off a mountain probably would be a little bit nerve-wracking. And there's another man. He's the secondary focus. This man is probably supporting the first man to make sure that his parachute is safe. Okay, and you could describe what he's wearing. He's also got on a helmet, so maybe he's going to go parachuting also. And then background. The area they're standing on is kind of a open, grassy, and like maybe concrete area. I think it's gravel, actually. Then there's some trees around it, and then there's some mountains in the background. So that would be a very good description of this picture. Okay, main idea. Well, there is a girl riding a horse. Okay, that's the main idea. Once again, it's the same girl that was in the first and the third picture also. And you can see she is riding a horse. That's going to be the main idea, main focus also. So then describe her. She's wearing horse riding helmet and horse riding vest. Her hair is flying out behind her, and she looks like she is having a wonderful time. Because, now, when you say something like that could be opinion, give a reason why. Because her mouth is open in joy, and her whole face is kind of glowing with happiness. The horse looks like it is either walking fastly or maybe trotting. It is a white horse. It's a full-sized horse. And the horse is being led to a man who is standing on the right-hand side of the picture. The man is watching the girl to make sure she stays safe. His head is turned towards her. He also has a smile on his face. Either they're telling jokes or they are both having a good time. It looks like the man might be jogging or running based on the positioning of his feet. So that is why I think the horse is probably either walking fast or at a slow trot. He is wearing a long-sleeved red shirt, gloves, and long-sleeved pants, and a cowboy hat. He also has on sunglasses, which implies that this is probably a very sunny day. Background, they are on some kind of track, which is surrounded by a white fence. It looks like it's some kind of horse race track or some kind of exercise yard for horses. Behind that, you can see many green trees. Okay? So, that's what you need to do to get this done. Basically, record yourself. Once again, just like the last one, you've got to record yourself. You've got to get your voice onto the tape so you can hear yourself and see if you can understand yourself. If you cannot understand yourself, then other people will not be able to. Next, as we do the next couple of slides, I want you to practice this. I'll give you 30 seconds to look at the picture, and then I'll say go. Try to talk for at least 45 seconds. Take charge of the question, okay? Start when I say go and record it. There's 2 that I'd like you to use to practice. After that, there is one for homework, okay? There will be, partner review. If you have a partner, do a partner review at the end. It will help you to make your English better. Work on main focus to second focus to background. So main idea, main focus, second focus, background. If you do this, it will be easier to get to 45 seconds. All right, here we go. Think about this picture. And that was 30 seconds. Start talking. And stop. That was 45 seconds of talking. Probably, in this case, if you're having trouble with the main idea or the main focus, ask yourself, why did the photographer take the picture? In this case, I would say the photographer took the picture because of the plaza and the buildings. So I would explain that as the main focus. I would explain all the people, tourists in the plaza as the second focus, and I would describe the weather as the background. Okay, another chance to try this. 30 seconds to think, and then I'll say go and talk for 45 seconds. And thinking time. The second example. Thirty seconds and talk. And that is 45 seconds. Once again, the main focus on the main idea is you've got a street in Chinatown, a traditional Chinese street somewhere in a city. The main idea is probably going to be the two bicyclers and motorcycler going down the street because they're closest. Or it would be the traditional buildings, one of the two. The background is the second focus is going to be the cars and other people in the street and possibly the buildings on the side. If you understand what the Chinese means, you could actually say what some of the buildings are. The background would be the two tall buildings that are standing out. With that in mind, this is probably a Chinatown in a large city or a traditional section of a large Chinese city because it mixes the modern and the past, so that would be part of your background. And that would be what you would do. So, This brings us to the homework for the speaking TOEIC part of this class. What I would like you to do is describe the next picture. Try to talk about it for 1 minute. If 45 seconds is okay, that's actually what speaking TOEIC would have. It is worth 10 points. This homework will be graded on a basis of completion. It will be checked to make sure you do it and that you have enough there. But it's not going to be graded on the grading points. However, there will be a part 2 on your midterm, which has part 1, part 2, part 3, part 4, part 5, part 6 from the speaking TOEIC on it. So this is a practice run so that you have an idea what to expect when you face your midterm after day 9. And here is the picture. "30 seconds. Start talking." "45. And 1 minute. Please upload your recording to the Donguk FLMS so that it can be checked by your teacher. Thank you.